at 2605 North Broome Street, right in front of Fulton's Paper Company. So now you got two locations where we can serve you. One at 5506 Kirkwood Highway, and the new one right here on Broome Street in front of Fulton's Paper, right in the city, 652-2400. That's 652-2400. We have faxing services, and we have notary service, be it auto, home, life, business, for all your insurance needs.
Charles Potter Jr. Agency, 302-652-2400.
All right, thank you very much.
Greetings and welcome to another version of Charles Potter's Straight Talk. I'm Wolf von Baumgart with the Independent Party of Delaware. In fact, I'm the state chairman of the party. And we're here to talk with our Attorney General candidate, David Graham. And our theme is, in the opening segment, is equal justice for all Delawareans. Dave, it's nice to have you aboard.
Thank you, Wolf.
What is very important is that the people of Delaware would like to know is that what new perspective will you bring to the Department of Justice when elected?
First of all, people have to realize that the Attorney General is the general in command of an army of lawyers. It's a leadership and a management position. You have an army of over 100 deputies Attorney General and all the support staff that goes with it, detectives, administrative personnel, and a lawyer simply does not have those leadership skills and that life experience in order to effectively lead that Department of Justice. And it's time that we start treating the Department of Justice on the basis of it's about the law, it's not about politics.
I've noticed that the other attorneys candidates have a tendency to talk about their legal experience, and you bring a management perspective to an office, one of the most critical offices in this state.
Right, and as someone that has a background as a business executive, in addition to being a licensed CPA, and that's how I started out over 35 years ago, a leader and the Department of Justice is only as good as the people that are employed there. And it's only as good as the deputies, attorney generals that work there. And I invite people to look at my website. If you just Google Graham for Attorney General, it outlines in detail all the issues.
That's the number 4.
That's the number 4, is that we have to take a look at the staffing requirements of the Attorney General's office. And I'm glad you mentioned my opponents. I have a total of 4 opponents, 2 minority candidates, but the Democrat and the Republican candidate for Attorney General, neither one of them have prosecutory experience. One is a career politician, and the other is one who simply did business law and appears to have a deep interest in being a Chancery Court judge.
That's a rather interesting observation. Also, what deficiencies do you see in the current system, and what improvements will you make when elected in the greater public interest?
Well, it's about the resources of the Justice Department, and it's a matter of priorities. One of the first things I would do if I were elected Attorney General of Delaware, I would have a meeting individually with each one of the Attorneys General, and I'd ask them 4 questions. What do you do? Do you like doing what you do? Is there something else you would like to be doing within the department, and how can I help you do your job? And when you get a career politician or running that office, they're interested in posturing for the next position that they will hold in state government. And I like to say, as we say often, money may be the mother's milk of politics, but name recognition is the coin of the realm. And I've been participating in statewide elective office as a governor's candidate and an attorney general candidate 4 years ago. And I have the name recognition to be elected.
Well, that's what we like about you, Dave. You have a very kind interest in humanity and people, and you have a very good interest in abilities and talent development, and that is very important in any organization.
It is. I learned as a young man, like many enlisted veterans, when we were in high school, you go join the service. I joined the Army, went to basic training, AIT. I was in Texas, I was in Germany, and I was enlisted. I was at 20 years of age, I was a three striper sergeant, and I wasn't a desk sergeant. I was a troop sergeant, and I learned leadership there. And you work harder as a leader than the people that work for you.
Yes, that is a prerequisite of leadership, and any leader worth the salt knows that. But well, what do you find most ironic in this election?
Yeah, we had a discussion on the way up today. You have detectives that work for the Attorney General's office. They're former state police officers or police officers, and you have people that are bringing these crimes to the attention of the chief law enforcement officer of Delaware, and that's what I would be. I would be the chief sheriff of this state. And I find it ironic that in police academies now, they're all given a psychological profile test to make sure that they have the right mental status in order to serve in that trusted position. And yet, the lawyers that work in the Department of Justice are not required to have any of that kind of testing. And one of the issues is prosecutorial abuse. And I'm sure I work with deputy attorney generals. They're hardworking, they're dedicated, but you cannot afford to have a bad apple in the attorney general's office.
Yeah, rots the whole barrel.
And I don't look for this Delaware State Bar to take the role in this. I like to have every attorney in Delaware be tested, because I've run across a few that in the other side, in the business of law, that I question. And if you look at any disciplinary counsel proceedings, you think they had the larceny in them based on what they got disbarred for.
Well, that is an innovative concept, and when you're elected, how will you implement that?
Well, first of all, you have to find out if it's legal to do that. And I would say if you're an attorney working in the Attorney General's office and you don't have an issue, you would say, sure, test me. I don't have a problem. I think it gets down to what we have in Delaware. Delaware needs a house cleaning, and it starts this year with the Attorney General's race. And you have to put someone in office that's willing to make the hard stances in order to implement the changes. We've seen the results of having almost 8 years of a career politician occupying that position. And we're on the verge with the current Democratic candidate putting another career politician in office. And it's not beneficial to the citizens of Delaware.
Well, people of Delaware actually have the power to change the course and destiny of Delaware politics by electing a truly independent Attorney General. And that is why the Independent Party of Delaware proudly offers Dave C. Graham as our next Attorney General. Dave, you're kind of a transparent guy. CPAs believe in financial transparency.
Well, the problem with CPAs is we're hardwired for honesty and integrity. Now, I don't know what a lawyer's hardwired for, but I was told 12 years ago, because I was active in Republican politics a long time, Dave, they may talk about you, but they don't want you. And I said, why? And he said, because you're too honest. Now, politicians are accused of being honest all the time, of being crooks all the time. But if you really want to ruin an aspiring politician, accusing him of being honest.
Exactly. Now, at the risk of sounding immodest, aren't you the guy who the corrupt politicians in this state fear the most? Well,
since I first started running for governor in 2004, and how I've been treated by the establishment since then, I do get the definite impression they wouldn't want a guy like me, either as Attorney General or as governor of the state.
And this is why the Independent Party of Delaware exists. We like guys like you on our ticket, people who will tell the truth at all costs.
Well, there's a maxim in law: the truth is your most powerful weapon. Don't use it unless you have to.
According to the conventional legal
wisdom.
thinking in this state and other states and other countries
And
the
other thing, and we spent a lot of time together over the last couple of months since I was nominated by the convention at the end of July, and there's a great deal of power in trying to do the right thing.
Yes, power lies in the noble attempt. That's very interesting. The other question too, you strike me as being very accessible. How accessible will you be to the regular citizens of Delaware who have problems with the justice system?
I believe the great mistake that politicians make is that they don't connect with the community where they come from. Some people might know my background. It's all on my website, of course. But you know, I'm a baptized member of the Kenton Methodist Church. I'm on the pastor parish committee. I sing in the choir. I'm the baritone in the choir. Past president of the Kenton Roritan Club. Past secretary of the 4th of July Association. Wherever I was needed, I would jump in and help over those years. And if all these aspiring politicians would just take care of the needs of their community, then you would have the reputation when you ran for office to go for people to say, yes, you would be a good attorney general, or yes, you would be a good governor. And as far as accessibility, every morning, just about every morning when I'm on the way to catch the 301 bus out of Smyrna to work in the Carvel office building on the 8th floor, I stop and have coffee with the guys at the Smyrna Diner. And one of our better politicians in the state is Democratic State Senator Bruce Ennis, and I've worked with him on some issues. And Bruce is at the Smyrna Diner. They know he's going to be there every evening at 8:30.
Right.
All they have to do is come, and he helps everyone.
Right.
A partisan politician is an enemy of the state, and Bruce is a model of how you should be a politician in Delaware. Once he gets elected, he helps everyone, people in and out of his district.
And how can the people of Delaware help you to achieve this historical game changer by electing a truly independent Attorney General?
Well, I determined that there's a great conflict of interest in who you take your money from.
Right.
So my campaign is based on I can buy my own signs, I can buy my own TV time, I have name recognition, I have a wonderful fleet of volunteers. You've met a lot of them that believe in my candidacy. Yes. And the great lie in politics is you need a lot of money. What you need is name recognition. I've worked on getting that over the last 10 years. But it would be helpful if people saw me here, believed in my candidacy, wanted to help either putting up signs or if they wanted to contribute. My signs cost $400 for 100 of them. I've got 1,000 paid for already.
Right.
If they want to contribute
How
to
can
that
I get in touch with you, Dave?
The best way to get in touch with me is on my website. If you just go on the tab 3 that says, how can I help? You just put the information in there. It pops right up on my cell phone. And you should notice, and I don't know how much time we have left in this segment, but my website does not ask anyone for money.
Right.
Number one, there's a lot of people in this state I won't take money from.
Right.
And number two, I will not take a contribution from a member of the Delaware Bar.
Good idea.
Because if I'm Attorney General and a case comes before me and I look on there and the lawyer for the defendant is a lawyer that gave me $1,200, is not my judgment impaired? Or the appearance of impropriety?
Conflict of interest.
And yet my opponents, the Democrat, Republican, if you look on their if you look on their campaign finance reports that are going to be 30 days before,
very good.
It's going to lawyers are giving them the money.
Well, we're about ready for our break, and we'll be back talking about other related issues in the state of Delaware with Don Ayotte, our Special Operations Director. So stay tuned on Charles Potter's Straight Talk.
Potter Jr. with the Charles Potter Jr. Insurance Agency.
Hola, mi nombre es Zenaida. Soy la secretaria aquí en la oficina del señor Charles Potter Jr. Casi todo lo vendemos aquí. El señor trabaja con 4 compañías de seguro, Progressive, que es la primera, Travelers, Dairyland y la compañía de Foremost. También tenemos la aseguranza de médico de Aflac. Sé que mucha gente no tiene suficiente dinero para pagar los médicos Y aquí nosotros en la oficina del señor Charles Potter Jr. los podemos ayudar. Cualquier pregunta, sea de seguro, sea de notario que tengan, por favor, llámenos para el seguro al 302-995-5451 y para el notario es 995-0608. Gracias.
This is Representative Stephanie T. Bolden asking you to take a bolden step. Re-elect the person committed to making Wilmington and the state of Delaware a better place for all citizens.
Stephanie T. Bolden, your state representative for the 2nd District. Experience, effective, and proven leadership. House Bill 312, restoring judicial discretion in Delaware with regards to concurrent or consecutive sentences. House Bill 417, protecting Delaware seniors from financial fraud. House Bill 167, co-sponsor legislation to ban the box and give ex-offenders a fighting chance at finding employment. Co-sponsor Senate Bill 3, that saved the Port of Wilmington and over 2,200 jobs. Co-sponsored Senate Bill 6, increasing the Delaware minimum wage rate and improving the quality of life for all Delawareans.
Thank you for your support and vote to re-elect me on November 4th.
Paid for by friends of Stephanie T. Bolden for state representative.
Welcome to the second segment of Charles Potter Straight Talk. I'm Wolfman Baumgart, State Chair of the Independent Party of Delaware. With us is Don Ayotte, our Special Operations Director, and of course, our Attorney General candidate, Dave Graham. There's been some rather interesting development downstate in an election. That is specifically Sussex County Sheriff Jeff Christoper. There have been some allegations that the voter fraud, basically, the electoral process may have been compromised. That is currently under investigation. Don, your comments, please.
Well, there's been a lot of contention in Sheriff Christoper's whole elected tenure of elected office with the lawsuits and especially the distribution of power and the loss of his police powers by the General Assembly on House Bill 2012, House Bill 325, that stripped the sheriff of his police powers and caused great contention in Sussex County and a almost 50% split in the registered voters in the way they believe the sheriff's office should be conducted. But you're right. Many registered voters and many people in southern Delaware and Sussex County especially believe that there was some form of quote voter fraud. There were many people that spoke up and that said when they went in to vote, their names weren't listed on the master list, and it was found out later that they were indeed registered to vote and should have been allowed to vote. Then there was also rumors and matter of fact that County Councilman Sam Wilson actually, who was supporting the sheriff's opponent, Robert T. Lee, actually violated the 50-foot rule from the 50-foot rule of electioneering and actually followed people to the door and electioneering on behalf of his candidate. And he was recently reprimanded and warned that that behavior was not, however, he was not fined. He was just reprimanded and warned that that behavior was inappropriate.
And that brings us back to the question of the public integrity, the question of the integrity of the electoral process itself, and the question for our Attorney General candidate is what steps will you take to, as Attorney General, when elected, to ensure the integrity of the electoral process itself?
Well, my first thought, and I attended that meeting that the sheriff had on the decision about whether or not he was going to file as a write-in candidate by the September 30th deadline.
An iPod-backed
Yes,
candidate.
yes, and the Independent Party has also already issued an endorsement in the event that he does decide to go as a write-in candidate for sheriff. But as a prospective future Attorney General, one of my first questions will be, if I were sworn into office, is I would turn to my Deputy Attorney General down in Sussex County, who is responsible for the area of elections, and say, what have you done? You know, voter fraud, it's tough enough to be in politics without having to worry about them either actually cheating or giving the appearance of cheating. It turns people off to the electoral process. Their assumption is if that happens in an isolated incident, it must be happening elsewhere, and it calls every election to be questioned in this state. So as Attorney General, that's one of the very many areas that need to be looked into. And again, it gets back to the decisions of the Attorney General's office should be based on the law, not on politics. And as a truly independent candidate for Attorney General, and I would be able to act in the appropriate manner using the
people have the power to affect that by looking in the middle of the column, and Dave Graham, you're the only statewide candidate of the Independent Party, so there's not a lot of clutter around you, so people should have no trouble finding Dave Graham on the ballot and pushing the button for a truly independent electorate, a truly independent Attorney General.
And that's interesting that you bring that up, because I think the other thing we want, and it is an evolving issue, we're going to find out in the papers. I don't know when this program is actually going to be aired or re-aired, but the deadline is Tuesday, September 30th, for the sheriff to make that decision.
That is correct.
And he's receiving nationwide support.
Yes.
And it's a nationwide issue on the power of the sheriffs.
And that brings us to our next issue. There's a rather interesting article. Jonathan Starkey wrote this today in the News Journal, that our senior statesman of Delaware, former Governor Mike Castle, also congressman, has severely questioned Mr. Matt Dehn, current Lieutenant Governor's decision to run for Attorney General midterm, possibly creating a constitutional crisis in and of itself. Gentlemen, your comments.
Well, I read that first thing this morning after receiving it. I think Governor Castle, our senior statesman, certainly has a correct, I agree with his opinion on this. I believe that Matt Dehn should not only at least finish his term as Lieutenant Governor before he moves on to further his career, but I think he's leaving the people of Delaware without a Lieutenant Governor. In fact, if something were to happen to Mr. Markell, Governor Markell, that would leave us with the Secretary of State as the governor, who is not an elected official, but an appointed official. And I don't think that's fair to the people of Delaware who elected this man as governor. And I believe that Mr. Dehn should rethink his situation and consider the people of Delaware's first instead of his own personal career.
If he doesn't do that, the voters can.
Well, the voters can, and they can very adamantly by voting for a truly independent candidate for Attorney General. And let's see what the people do.
Be a very interesting election. Definitely, there's never going to be a dull moment in this campaign. Dave, that brings us to the question of the politics inherent in the office of Attorney General, and how will you actually depoliticize this office in the greater public interest?
Well, first of all, I have to get elected.
Correct.
And I must add to the point that Don I just spoke to, and it goes a little bit deeper than just the Lieutenant Governor abandoning his commitment to the state of Delaware. It goes to what happened and the history. Formerly, over 100 years ago, the Attorney General was appointed by the Governor of Delaware. And that's one thing we may have to discuss after the election, whether it should be changed. But the reason they changed it in the Constitution was because the feeling was the governor had too much power. And now we're here, and what happened within a week of Mr. Den reporting that he was going to run for Attorney General back in April, the governor of Delaware hosted a $500 minimum per head fundraiser to fund the campaign for the lieutenant governor. So here you're right back to the governor, in effect, as a lieutenant, as an attorney general, bought and paid for.
Right, definitely not a grassroots campaign.
Not a grassroots campaign. The Democratic Party is a little bit split on this issue, and it needs to be brought to the voters' attention. And when we had the debates over a week ago, the lieutenant governor pointed out he was endorsed by the various things. On election day, I want to be endorsed by one person, and that's the voter of the state of Delaware.
Absolutely. My friends, we're coming close to the conclusion of our segment. Please check out our website at independentpartyofdelaware.com. That's independentpartyofdelaware.com. Phone numbers are listed there. So please get in touch with us. We like to hear from people. We like informed voters, and we have a lot of information. Please check out our platform. In fact, you can check out all the other parties' platforms directly from the links to our website, so it's a good research tool, independentpartyofdelaware.com. Also, Dave Graham for Attorney General, that is Graham4AG, the number 4AG.com. So, thank you.
Hello, Charles Potter Jr. Agency. Yes, you want to get a quote on auto insurance? Okay, I'll be happy to do that. Hi, I'm Charles with the Charles Potter Jr. Agency. We have a brand new location for you, located at 2605 North Broome Street, right in front of Fulton's Paper Company. So now you got two locations where we can serve you. One at 5506 Kirkwood Highway, and the new one right here on Broome Street in front of Fulton's Paper, right in the city, 652-2400. That's 652-2400. We have faxing services, and we have notary service, be it auto, home, life, business. For all your insurance needs,
Charles Potter Jr. Agency, 302-652-2400.
all right, thank you very much.
Hi, this is Representative Stephanie T. Bolden asking you to take a bolden step. Re-elect the person committed to making Wilmington and the state of Delaware a better place for all citizens.
Stephanie T. Bolden, your state representative for the 2nd District. Experience, effective, and proven leadership. House Bill